Mussar, Hamitchaber larasha, one who attaches himself to a wicked individual, Tored atzmo min haolam hazeh, he is inflicting himself, bringing himself to hard judgments and situations in this world. Umin haolam haba, as well as in the next world. It means like the person is gonna pass through, which is not a good thing. V'amasbir panim lerasha, hareze mimargize el. Look how interesting this is. One who explains in a calm, look at this, what's masbir panim? So one who explains in a calm and nice way to an evil individual angers God. So you have to understand the case. The case is it's talking about someone who's here to make a mockery, someone who's defying God in the worst of ways, and you're being naive and nice and accepting. We're not talking about someone who doesn't know, someone who is really asking, maybe a wicked person who's really asking to do teshuvah, or really asking because he want to know, but a mockery, or someone who's coming to defy and to throw down, and you're speaking like no problem, and you're being even nice to him, that angers God. Because he angers God, how could you show him face in a nice way? That's what he says, okay? It's not so, I guess, it's a hard evaluation when you're speaking to an individual. Do you show him a hard face or do you show him a soft face? But anyways. Ve'amarbe bidrachav mit'abel besofo. A person who does a lot, hamarbe. A person who... Sorry. Hamerame bidrachav. A person who's deceitful in all of the things that he does is in the end going to mourn. He's going to mourn in his end for everything that he has done.
Meaning that is like, you know...
He's going to get paid back.
Like in his life.
Yeah, for sure, in his life. Yeah. Ve'amatet chavero miderech tova l'derech ra'a met b'chatzi yamav. An individual who takes his friend who was doing good and he encourages him to do bad, chas v'shalom, is gonna pass away at the half of his life. You had a friend, you had a group of people that you move over, that they wanted to do mitzvot, they wanted to learn Torah, they wanted to do good things, and you push them over to do the wrong, you give them a bad encouragement. A person like that will pass away at the half of his life. One who mocks the commandments in the Torah, and mirachamim alav min hashamayim, there's no mercy in heaven for such an individual. One who mocks the poor, the poverty of poor people. A person will work hard. It doesn't say that he's going to be unfortunate and poor. Sometimes that happens. But what's going to happen is a person's going to work so hard in anticipation and willing to and wanting to eat from all of his hard work, and others are going to. Now, others doesn't mean your children, because that's as if it's you. Others meaning even people that you were not too fond of and wouldn't have wanted to work for them. That's where all of your hard work is going to go. A person who is very quick and he always reddens and embarrasses other people, reddens people's faces and embarrasses them. Pinkaso petucha bo bayom. That person's notebook in Shamayim, the one that's only opened up on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, is opened up that day also. It's very, very serious. Next. Ve'en lecha kashe ela mi she'osek b'divrei havai. One of the most stringent and things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot stand are those who engage themselves and are constantly busy with frivolity, nothingness, something that has no lasting, no future, no gain at all. Oy lemi she'olam mit'ebo. Woe to one who the whole world is turned to the bad because of him. Oy lemi she'asha misacheket lo. Woe to one who the time is in his favor. Why is that bad? If now it's your time to shine, why is it not good for you?
Because you don't take it like to the good way.
What if a person does?
So
listen to this. A person who sha'am misacheket lo, a person who the time is now showing his favor, it's his time to shine. He has to remember, what is it going to be afterwards? What was it before? Can I still hold myself up to my morals, to my ethics, to all the good things that I'm supposed to before, during, and after? It's very There we go. It's the famous argument we have about winning the lottery. We're not going to do it on camera.
No, we don't.
We're not going to do it on camera. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
It is very, very hard because a person is at one place and then he changes. So it's the same. That's shah misacheket lo. It's biduk shah misacheket lo. Whether it's in good luck, whether it's in fortune, whether it's in wisdom. If it's shah misacheket lo, I mean it's not something that's everlasting. If a person gets into that and then makes that a continuation, it's a great thing.
Talk about it in the holiday.
Chazak. Okay, next. Oy lemi shenaseh sanegoro kater goro. Woe to one who his how would we call it? No, sanegoro is his
Attorney.
Exactly, his attorney. That his woe to one who his lawyer basically becomes now his prosecutor. He knows your whole deal. He knows your whole case. He's fighting for you. All of a sudden, you come to court and you see him there. Yeah, exactly, switching on you. And that is the Yetzer Hara, by the way. He's the one who, do it. Don't worry. It's sweet. It's good for you. No problem. You'll do teshuvah. You're going to be up there to do teshuvah. You're going to be up there with Yom Adin. Who's there? It's that same face. It's that Yetzer Hara. Okay. Oy lemi sheyitzro menatzcho. Woe to one who his Yetzer Hara, his evil inclination, conquers him and beats him and rules him. Oy lemi shenepach alav hagalgal. Woe to one who the wheel is turned on him, meaning the tables have turned. He was up and now he's down. It's very sad. It's very hard. Oy lemi sheme'abed et amalo. Woe to one who all of his hard work that he put into it all went to waste. Next. Hashem rachmav yatzilenu mikol gezot kashot v'raot bichlal ובפרט יצילנו מיצר הרע ומכל צרה ויזכנו לשוב בתשובה שלמה. אמן כן יהי רצון. Halacha for the day. Hilchot Shabbat. V'daber davar. The Navi says, V'daber davar, speaking of your matters. This is the Navi in Ishayahu. He says as follows, that you're supposed to, as he's going to say, that you're supposed to speak on Shabbat things that are only of Shabbat and not of non-Shabbat. Shelo yeh dibrecha shel Shabbat, ki yeh dibrecha shel chol. The way you speak on Shabbat should not be the same way you speak during the week. Meaning you shouldn't. He's not saying curse during the week. Don't curse on Shabbat. It's not what he says. He says the topic. Right. We had that. The topics that you speak about during Shabbat should not be the same topics you speak about during the week. On the week you speak about business, you speak about what you're going to buy, what you're going to do, what you're going to sell, where you're going. There we go. Hilkach asur lomar davar ploni yaseh lemachar. This is what I'm going to do tomorrow. O schora ploni tekne lemachar. This is the business I'm going to buy tomorrow. Afilu besihat dvarim betelim asur larbot. Even if it's frivolity, even if it's not true. You know, people that like just talking, whether it's true or not true. Lo alenu, and they get people excited because they start talking about this business and this is what they bought and this is what they do. All of that, even if it's not true, you're not allowed to do on Shabbat. Now, he says over here, I want to just take a quick mention. He says over here, you're not allowed to say, I'm going to go here tomorrow, right? Or I'm going to do this. Asur lomar davar ploni e'aseh lemachar. I'm going to do this tomorrow. If you're going to say it like this, what? No, well, listen, if a person says, tomorrow I'm going to go visit someone who's sick, that's not a problem.
It's a mitzvah.
Not only is it a mitzvah, you're not mentioning any isur. For example, you're allowed to say, I'm going to go visit someone sick, or I'm going to go somewhere, as long as you're not mentioning eli menacha that you're going to do. To say, I'm going to fly somewhere tomorrow, I'm going to drive somewhere tomorrow, that's where you get into the issue. You have to not use the terminology of milacha in your words. Okay? To say that I drove somewhere, it's not a problem. But when you're planning for after Shabbat, what you're going to do, even if it was planned from before the Shabbat, to use milacha words, to use to say I'm going to build something tomorrow is an issue.
What about things that are not isur and not mitzvah, like, I don't know, go to the pool, not the pool is kind of but other things that are pleasure, let's say, that are not...
So that's not a problem of v'daber davar, it's not a transgression. There are those that are stringent not to speak it, but it's not a transgression.
An easy example is to turn on the TV, leave the TV on Shabbat.
No, it's a completely different concept. This is
It's Avirat Shabbat. Even though it's not Isur.
This is not Avirat Shabbat. V'daber davar is an Isur.
Conversations, specifically to the Inyan conversations we're talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about speaking. We're talking about speaking. Now, if maybe what you want to say is, let's say, speaking about non-milacha and non-mitzvah and non-productive, really.
What I mean to say, the person left the TV on to watch the game. The whole conversation during the game is conversation Shabbat. It's not conversation Shabbat. Even though he didn't violate Shabbat, the whole ambiance.
Right, that's for sure.
Oh, he should have scored a touchdown.
Okay, it's a whole other concept. We're not even going to go into it.
Time is a complex.
We're not going to speak about the TV left on in Shabbat because it's not what we're going on over here. Next, bet. Davar she'eno melacha ve'eno asur la'asot b'Shabbat. Something which is not a prohibition to be done on Shabbat. It's not a melacha. Ela mishum shvut. It's only a rabbinical decree. That's why it's important to know. No. It's only a rabbinical decree. That's why it's important to know. That's why sometimes when people say, what's the difference? So if it's a Torah obligation or rabbinic obligation, so just know you're not supposed to do it. What's the difference? You have to know what's a Torah obligation, what's a rabbinical obligation. So you know when you're connecting to the mitzvot and what you're doing, you know on an intellectual level how you're connecting to it. That's Aleph. Bet is in certain situations there are leniencies and flexibilities with different categories of different commandments and transgressions based on if they're a Torah obligation or a rabbinic obligation. So here's one of them. If there is a melacha which is only a rabbinic obligation that one's not allowed to do, you're allowed to tell a Gentile to do it for you with one of the three following conditions. Aleph, if it is sheyesham miktzat choli, if it's in a case of someone being sick, okay? Or yeh tzarich lidvar tzorech harbe, if there is a big need, which in the Shulchan Aruch and the Mishnah Berurah they speak about it. It's very, very complex. When is it a tzorech harbe? And that's the next. No, tzorech harbe is individual. For example, there's certain cases, we're not going to get into now, it's out of the scope of this class, but there's certain cases that if there's a dire financial distress or loss that's going to be taking place on Shabbat, that you're allowed to tell a goy to do something for you. But when is that considered tzorech harbe? When is that not? Let's say AC goes out on Shabbat, to have a goy turn it on. That is tzorech harbe, and that's allowed to be exactly very, very needed. But now, what's considered very needed and what's not considered very needed? Every single case has its own parameters, and it's very, very complex. Or mipnei mitzvah, or for a mitzvah, and that's where generally tzorech harabim falls in, because it's, let's say, for a mitzvah for a seudah of Shabbat or the holidays, or in the Beit Knesset. No, tzorech mitzvah is the main category. Tzorech harabim also fits in there, but it's tzorech mitzvah.
Maybe
I'll tell you like this: your sukkah collapses on Chag. You can tell a goy to put it together for you, but to put the schach back on, to put it back up, because it's tzorech mitzvah.
I forgot on Shabbat to put the plata, and you can do your suda, and you can bring your the
צורך הרבה, הוא צריך את זה, הרבה. הבן אדם צריך לאכול.
So there, you'll probably be able to hint, you cannot say it.
Yeah.
You can't say to put it on, you could hint. Which is different.
Fundamentally, what's the difference between doing it yourself?
What's going to cold food?
Very good. So, by asking a goy to do it, you're obviously now bringing it into a rabbinical category. You're not doing it yourself. I'll give you an example. If I tell you, not you, Shmo, what's the difference if Shmo kills someone or if he tells Joe to kill someone? Different, right? So it's the same thing.
So the goy look at it like that.
What do you mean?
I mean, when they go say, why they telling me? I don't know if do we need to explain them? No.
Nah, don't worry. Ketzad, here's an example. If the shofar is on a tree on Rosh Hashanah, and on Yom Tov and Shabbat, one's not allowed to climb a tree. It's a rabbinical decree that they might come to pull something off or break a branch, which is a Torah obligation, but it's a rabbinical obligation. The Torah obligation is you can't pull something off of a tree, a branch, a leaf, a fruit. Okay? Rabbi said, since you're not allowed to do that Torah obligation, don't climb the tree. So climbing the tree is the rabbinical obligation. However, for a mitzvah, you can tell a Gentile to climb the tree to get it for you. You understand? You can't tell him, pull off an apple, because that's telling him to do a Torah obligation. No, you're telling him to do a Torah obligation. But the rabbinical obligation, so that's why you're not allowed to tell him. You're only allowed to hint in certain situations. He has to benefit from it also. And it's very... What?
You're not hinting when you tell him go to a tree.
Because that's a rabbinical decree and it's for a mitzvah. Climbing a tree is rabbinically prohibited. So I'm allowed to tell it to him, and it's a mitzvah. That's why I'm allowed to tell it to him. Do you understand? To tell him to climb the tree to pick an apple is not allowed.
Why not? Rosh Hashanah, I need to finish.
No. Okay, next. Haborer ochel mitoch psolet biyado le'anicho afil libo bayom na'aseh keborer le'otzar v'chayav. So,
גרעינים זה בורר או לא בורר?
1 second, but let me explain before we ask a question. If you separate from two different things, if you separate the bad from the good, that is considered borer, separating, and that is prohibited on Shabbat. So if you have a bowl of grapes, and you have some green grapes and red grapes, and you only like green grapes, you don't like the red grapes, to take the red grapes and put them on the side, whether it's one by one or even at a cluster at a time, is considered borer, and it is an issue. If, however, you take the green ones out, no problem, because now you're taking good from bad. Good from bad is allowed, bad from good is not allowed. What's the source of this halacha? When they would be making the bread for the Mishkan and then later in the Beit HaMikdash, there was many steps. One of the steps was once they threshed the wheat. They threshed the wheat and the kernels, and now they have, imagine a kernel of wheat that's cracked but not really separated. What they would do is they would winnow it. Winnow means they would take zoreh, it's called. They would take some type of like plate or plan, and they lift it up like this. They throw it up and down, and the chaff, which is lighter, would be taken away by the wind, and the grains of the wheat would fall back down on the plate. Now, after this would happen, whether I don't remember if it's before or after, but either before or after this would happen, still when you gather all of the wheat, the stalks, there's a lot of rocks that come along with that. So what they would do, they would be picking out the rocks. That's borer. They'd be taking out the rock, which is the bad, from the good, and throwing that away. That's why it is a Torah prohibition. It's a melacha. So taking bad from good is a melacha.
So it was done in the Beit HaMikdash, basically.
Because it was done in the Mishkan, in the Midbar. All 39 is what, exactly. So now Garinim, what case of the Garinim is the issue?
גרעינים, you boil, you taking the good from the bad, but
Good from the bad is not a problem.
Take the good.
Besides,
like tapuz.
it's derech achilato. It's different anyways.
unless you open the גרעין and you
There's
That's
because
fine,
there
it's
you have
derech
no
achilato.
choice. You have no choice.
It's an orange. How are you going to eat the orange?
You have to peel it.
You're going to slice it in half and eat from the inside? No, that's not derech achilato. Derech achilato is you peel off the bad and you eat the good. Oh, fish is a problem. Fish is a question.
why?
Because
You don't take the good thing, you take the food.
I know, but the question is
the good thing there.
exactly, can you take away the bones and then eat the fish, or do you have to eat the fish and leave the bones?
Exactly.
You have to
So
eat fish and eat the bones.
we should know that it's not so simple. First of all, ideally,
Usually take the bones out.
there's different levels of
You want to cook without
poskim.
bones, and that's it, no problem.
There's different levels of poskim. There are those that hold most stringent that you could only eat the fish and you have to leave the bad behind. Okay, the Mishnah Bruras brings down a leniency. What you're allowed to do is you're allowed to put the fish in your mouth, and when the bone's in your mouth, take out the bone. Okay? That is derech achilato. There are those which are even more lenient, and I'm almost positive Chacham Ovadia Yosef is even lenient, that you're allowed to even remove the bones aside, because that's considered derech achilato.
It's like peeling.
I'm just telling you. There we go. Next, hey, zetim banavim asur lesochtan. Zetim banavim asur lesochtan. Olives and grapes are a Torah prohibition to squeeze. to squeeze. Other fruits and vegetables, some could be permitted, some could be not permitted.
Like the olives, there's so much juice in them. You just go
So are you doing it onto food or are you doing it onto...
to the plate, just to kish all the juice.
Ooh, that's a question because you're doing it for
You know those
itself.
olives with the little red thing inside?
Yeah, but you're not squeezing the liquid out.
Yeah, there's a lot of liquid in it. You go, and it all comes out. You
So
throw it in your mouth.
it depends. That could be that could be okay because it's holech liibud. It's going to garbage. Let's say to squeeze it back into the jar, that would probably be fine.
What about other fruits like lemon or orange?
So that's the next halacha. Mutar lischot lemons. You're allowed to squeeze lemons because lemons are not squeezed for the juice of it. They're squeezed to put onto food. So Ashkenazim, the Rama, that's the Shulchan Aruch. The Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch both say that squeezing lemons is mutar. The Rama, Ashkenazim all say you're not allowed to do it. The Shulchan Aruch and Chavad Yosef, the Rambam, they go so far to say you're allowed to squeeze lemons even for its juice, even for empty, because they're not made and common to squeeze for juice. What? Yeah, that could be. You could have an issue borer. You could have an issue borer.
לא, למה? אתה מוציא את הפסולת.
You could, why not?
מוציא את הפסולת. אתה בורר את ה... אתה בורר...
So like when you squeeze it, like if you want to drink it, you cannot, so you need
לא,
to leave like
אתה לקחת את הטוב.
seed inside.
Yeah. Now everyone agrees that you're allowed to squeeze lemon onto food.
Yeah.
No problem.
אתה ברת את הטוב מהרע, לא את הרע מהטוב.
You're squeezing it on the side.
דרך אכילתו, זה דרך אכילתו.
You cannot separate them.
Just eat around it.
You eat around it, yeah. Or let's say if it's on a piece of lettuce, it's on a piece of lettuce. What you can do is you can pick up that piece of lettuce and either put the whole lettuce on the side because it's really good, right? Or you can take off the lettuce and shake that thing off. That's not considered borer.
You can wash some lettuce and sugar. There's no problem.
That's off topic. Next. ליתן קרקום ותבשיל מותר ואין לחוש לא משום צובע דאין צביעה באוכלים. There's no issue of coloring food on Shabbat. Normally coloring, litzboa, is a prohibition on Shabbat. But that does not apply to food. It's not something which is everlasting. It's also something only meant to eat. So putting any spices or any colors, not an issue on Shabbat. If you cut a vegetable or a fruit too small, that is as if you are grinding it. So what's the shi'ur? What's the size, which is considered grinding or not grinding? It's whenever, I said this is the yesod. We're not going to go through every vegetable, but the yesod is when it's cut so small that it's not obvious what fruit or vegetable it is. So, why not? Depends which fruit or vegetable. Right? Cucumbers are cut seemingly very small. Onions probably cut even smaller. So it depends on, let's say, watermelon. If you slice watermelon the size of cucumbers, you're not going to know what it is, and then that could be considered tochen.
Exactly.
Okay?
You know what it is. Very simple rule. If you know what it is when you're eating it, then it's not.
No, not when you're eating it. It's like when you look.
Identify it.
But not while you're eating it. It's while you're looking at
you
it.
can identify it before you eat it.
Exactly. ט', למה זה מוגזם?
אם אתה חותך מלפפון יותר מדי קטן, אז זה נחשב כאילו טחנת אותו?
How's that so? Imagine, let's go back. What's tochen? Tochen is when you took the wheat and you ground it up into flour. So I took a kernel of wheat. No, not into water. That's another thing. That's lash. This is tochen. I took a kernel this big and I ground it into particles of flour. Okay? I'm taking a watermelon this big and I'm cutting it to pieces this small. No, it's a problem.
This small?
This small. You don't know that's a watermelon. It's a dice. It's the size of a dice, let's say. You don't know that's watermelon. Right. But if you cut a cucumber this size, no problem, because people cut cucumbers that way, and it's easily identifying what it is.
צודק, אם עושים את זה קטן מאוד, you cannot tell between the tomato and the pilpel.
Exactly, that's why it depends the size. It depends the size. So and that's מלאכת tochen. Okay, moving on. ט' פירות שנשרו מן האילן בשבת אסורים בו ביום ולערב מותרים מיד. Any fruits or vegetables which came off on Shabbat from their plant or their tree are muktzeh and not allowed to be eaten. Why? Because when Shabbat came in, they were not readily accessible to be eaten. One second, but let me explain before you ask a question. when you come into Shabbat, the fruit is on the tree. Let's say Shabbat morning now. I come, I look at that fruit. Am I allowed to eat that fruit?
No.
There's no way in the world I could eat that fruit. Because I need to pull it off. Good. So since when Shabbat came in, that fruit was not accessible to me or permitted for me to eat. Therefore, even if it fell on its own on Shabbat, I still cannot eat that on Shabbat. Good? Baruch? Bitzah gam ken, yeah. Yeah.
בשבת גם, כן.
Either or.
What if it was on the tree already? You can't, still
What?
can't eat it, right?
כי יש דבר שיש בו מתירים.
No, you can't do that.
שמה הגמרא מדברת.
No, let's say there's salt shakers and pepper shakers that you need to grind. Prohibited. Cannot do that on Shabbat.
Shabbat you can, okay? It's fair, right?
Opposite. These rules make your Shabbat enjoyable. You need to prepare from before Shabbat. When you come to Olam Haba, and you say, I want to enjoy everything, they say you didn't prepare in Olam Hazeh, you to prefer Olam Haba. So if you don't prepare on Friday, you will not enjoy on Shabbat. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen.